Hey, what's up, guys? Hello, my friends on the internet. I'm Brian Mert, CEO of Advertisement. We're coming today from a new location. I figured I'd do it on the couch, a little bit more relaxing, a little bit more easygoing. So, thank you guys so much for joining me today. If this is your first time ever checking us out, we go live every Tuesday and every Friday to answer questions in relation to Facebook advertising, and we also discuss some of the most recent updates that are coming to the Facebook ad platform, the Instagram ad platform, the Snapchat ad platform, all of those, anything in the paid social world. We are here to be able to help you navigate those waters, understand how to become a better marketer, and how to be able to get the best results that you want with the money that you're spending on social advertising. So, a couple of housekeeping items. If you're watching this, feel free, any questions that you have during the talk or whatever, drop it in the comments below. I will answer my questions or answer your questions as I can and kind of take the comments as they come through. If you like what you're hearing or saying, make sure to leave little emojis and thumbs up and smiley faces, little hearts. When I see those flying across the screen, it makes me get all happy and excited. So I love it when that happens. And then, yeah, if you want to make sure that you don't miss any of these in the future, all you need to do is like us, like our fan page on Facebook, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Both of those will alert you whenever we're going live. So that's kind of the rules there, how it works. But yeah, it's awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. Even if you're watching this later and you have questions, feel free to just drop a comment in below. And a lot of times we go back and look at the past videos, and we'll bring those questions out and answer them in a later time so that everyone can get their questions answered. But yeah, I wanted to jump into a couple of quick updates. The first one, I was actually really excited about this. Facebook has their Blueprint certification. So Facebook Blueprint is where there's lots of tutorials or things online that you can be able to do training to learn more about the Facebook or Instagram placements, options that you have as an advertiser. And they have a certification test. It's a series of 3 tests. It costs $150 for each test. And when you take all 3, you get 2 certifications. One for media buying and one for media planning. And what they just did is generally you would have to pay for this, and it's something that you would need to renew every year. Yesterday morning, or I guess maybe it was this morning, I got an email where they were saying that length of time is now extended to 18 months, which is awesome because now you have the ability to be able to keep your certification for a little bit longer. It's a semi-difficult test. You need to probably study for it. There's some questions in there that they try to trick you, just like in the DMV. So what happens now is once you get certified in a Facebook Blueprint certification, it's now good for 1.5 years instead of a year, which is awesome. So it gives you a little bit more time to have it before you need to retake it again and spend another $450. So anyway, hey, good news. My next update that I had was there was an article this week in Adage or Ad Age, however you pronounce it, that basically was talking about Instagram is now testing direct response ads in their stories format. So what this means is in the middle of stories, as people are sharing their live moments that disappear after 24 hours, you now have the ability, or at least they were testing with a company called SumUp. And what happens is you have the ability to swipe up to sign up, swipe up to download an app. There's a variety of different things that you can do where the story is focused on direct response, meaning a person taking an action right at that very moment and point of time to be able to have their ad, the user complete an action that they want. So anyway, this is really exciting. It's a new format that you now have the ability to reach out to and go to people and hopefully get them to complete the actions that you find valuable. Another article that came out was something by Adweek, and this was 3 Facebook advertising mistakes that experienced advertisers must avoid. And I thought this is really good. There's a couple points in there that I'd like to talk about or discuss with you guys. The first one that they listed was to not optimize bids towards the right goals. And this is, a problem that a lot of people struggle with that are new to Facebook advertising. When you get in and you try to create your first ad, there's like 10 to 15 different objectives that you're going after, and a lot of times it's confusing to try to know which one to pick, especially because a lot of them can overlap. If you're running video views, you could also run a reach campaign with videos. So which one do you use? Both of them have the ability to essentially do the same thing. And this is, a common mistake that a lot of people make. And simply it's just a matter of fact of you need to know what objective you're going for, where people are in the funnel. Are you doing the first introduction? Have you already had some interactions with this user? Or, are they someone that has clearly expressed interest in in your product or your service, where they're lower down the funnel? And so generally, you at the bottom end of the funnel is where you run conversion campaigns. In the middle is where you run click campaigns, and then at the top is where you do things like video views or reach or branding, where you're trying to get people to be more familiar with your products or service. So that was tip number one. The second thing that was in there was not customizing ad content per your audience. And refreshing creative. This is something that's very important. A rule of thumb that we would say is if you are targeting wide, use a single ad. If you're targeting more specific, that's generally when you should update your ad creative to be specific for that type of audience. And this is really, speaks to the power of what Facebook, the ad platform, can do. In the fact that you have the ability to show ads to moms, to dads, to teenagers, and you have the ability to speak to them in their own language. You have the ability to say, hey, this is how this would make your life better. This is how you can make your life, faster or stronger, whatever it is that you're looking to do. Our product can help you do that. But you speak in the language of the people who you're trying to reach for. So, that's the second thing. A lot of people make mistakes. They use a single ad kind of across the board. And what happens is you're missing in a huge opportunity to be able to talk to your potential consumer in, language or wording, or speak to their specific needs that they may have. And it's different for each segment. The third tip that Adweek had was not bringing in the volume with prospecting and branding. And this is really an important tip, right? A lot of times people get into Facebook and they're like, I want to spend $1 and I want to make $1. I need to get money back. Money. And this is very, it's a process where you're trying to reach new people that have no intent in your product or service, right? They didn't go to Facebook looking for your product, being like, man, I hope their ad shows up for me today, because I need, I really wanted that product. No, when they're looking for something, they use Google, they search for it. But when they're on Facebook, they're looking to connect with their friends and their family. So it's very important that you reach, or that, when you go to people with your ad creative, that you're able to talk to them in, a language that's important to them, and that you're able to, kind of show them the tips that work there. So anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on that. There was another article that came out this week by AdExpresso. This was, 9 secrets that the pros use to create amazing ad copy or copy for their Facebook ads. And there was a bunch of them in there, but I wanted to focus on a couple that I saw that really stood out that I thought were, fantastic tips. The first one was to ensure that your copy matches your funnel focus. And this is kind of like what I was just talking about. You have a focus on where you're trying to make that interaction with that consumer and how you're trying to make that first connection. So, at the top of the funnel, people don't care about your product at all. So what you're trying to do is to, one, get their attention, show them how it would benefit their life, and you're interrupting their day. So, a lot of times you want to keep those messages short. They're scrolling through things. So your ability to be able to basically stop someone as they're walking by on the street and be like, hey, I got to tell you about something, or can I ask you a question? What's your opinion on this subject? And that way it's a conversation where you're starting out with, whereas asking someone, hey, buy this product now, is something that you generally would do further down the funnel when someone's more aware of that product and service and what the benefits and features are. So that would be, it's definitely a great tip. Always make sure that your copy matches where a person may be in the funnel. Another thing that they had was, being able to talk to the people that you're reaching. and making sure you're using language and focusing on them. I call this WIFM, which is what's in it for me. That people on Facebook only care about one thing, which is themselves, right? They don't care about someone else's company, that you're going to meet your sales goals, that your product is better than someone else's. No, they care about themselves and what the product or service would do to enrich their lives. So, some of the things that, we see a lot of times is that people will approach Facebook advertising and they'll be like, hey, let us tell you how great we are. This is how awesome we are, and we do this and this and this and this and this. And it's basically just someone talking and almost like an awkward conversation where people are like, okay. Whereas the flip side is you have the ability, what we would say is to focus on what's a better approach is how you're helping them. Focus on the positive ways that your product or service is going to impact their lives and it's going to make their lives better. That's what you need to be doing. So it's again, kind of good tips there. Number 3, test your copy with a Facebook relevance score. As you're running copy, you want to be able to monitor your relevance score. Here's a couple of rule of thumbs. Your relevance score should be at 7 or higher. If it's below 7, if it's a 6 or lower, you need to do something to improve. Either that means your targeting can be too broad, or your ad isn't necessarily speaking to people. But when you're doing things right, your ad will be at a relevance score of 7 or above. Anything lower than that, you're going to start to have to pay more for Facebook to be able to run the ads. And Facebook loves ads that are in that higher range because users are finding them relevant. They're like, this is interesting, this is creative, I want to know more about it. So make sure that you're always monitoring your relevance score. And a lot of times you can use the breakdown feature to be able to run it over time. And that's where you want to be able to see, is it scaling up or is it scaling down? What's happening with my relevance score? The fourth one that they had that I thought was really good is promise something in return, tangible or otherwise. So, a lot of times advertisers need to offer up some sort of value proposition along with, or a bonus in terms of what it is their product has. So, a lot of times this is offering something. It's a free guide, it's free information, it's a sample. This is kind of going to them being like, hey, thank you for stopping. I'd love you to be able to try this product or service. I'd love to be able to get your opinion. What do you think? Tell me your thoughts. That's more of a conversation than, hey, buy now. So it's very important that when it comes to copy, focus on, if you've paid to be able to stop that person on the street and you have a couple of seconds of their time. Now make sure that you're able to offer them something that would be valuable to them. And the last tip that we had that was in this article that I thought was so important is to embrace urgency and scarcity. So here's kind of how it works is those are huge factors when it comes to Facebook. You only have a short period of time that you have the ability to reach people. And so you want to be able to grab their attention very, very quickly. And some of the best ways to do this are through urgency or scarcity, meaning urgency would be like, hey, this is a 24-hour sale, or we're offering this free gift today, but only for the next couple of hours, or we have 100 to give away. The first 100 people that sign up are able to get this for free, right? Those are scarcity items. Those are urgency, meaning, if I don't take action right now, I'm gonna miss out. So, take a look at your copy. And make sure that you're using things like urgency and scarcity because those techniques work very, very well on Facebook. They just work well in general. I think most people, if someone says, hey, I've got $5 to give away, but I'm only going to give it away to 10 people, I'm like, hey, sign me up. Why not, right? So I think it's just techniques that work very well. And so you should be using them in your ad copy. All right, so now what I can do is I'm going to address a couple questions. If you guys have any questions, leave them below. I'll answer them. There was a great question that came in one of our previous sessions that I wanted to answer right now. So the question was, I'm running a campaign and the results are lukewarm. So they were saying, and they said, do some products just not sell that well on Facebook? And when do you decide to throw in the towel and just turn Facebook ads off? And this is actually a really good question. Surprisingly enough, we have a lot of people that come to our agency looking for help, and they're in this situation, which is, I'm trying Facebook ads out. Some of the numbers are good, some of the numbers are bad. What do we be able to do? Do we just throw in the towel? And here's kind of my advice to that. Number one, Facebook is a complicated system. It's like a spaceship, right? Just because you get into the spaceship and be like, hey, I want to fly to the moon, you're going to get in there. It's confusing. There's millions of buttons, millions of levers, computer systems all over the place running it. So just know that you're inside of what is a very complicated system. And most likely you're not going to be knowledgeable about all the inner workings of it. So just know that, leading up, you're using something advanced, probably at a basic or intermediate level. So know that there's always probably more you can get out of it. The second thing I would say is, if your product or service is unable to generate a positive ROI using Google or Facebook advertising, your product or service is probably not going to work out. Because these are the very two best ways on the planet to be able to reach people at a reach targeted people at a low cost, low spends, to be able to get exactly in front of who the people that you're looking to reach. So if you're showing them your product and they aren't buying, or they're not interested, or the click-through rates are low, one, they don't care about your product and it's not relevant to them. Two, if they are clicking and they're not buying, it's probably your website and you're probably not very good at converting those people. So you need to be able to look at that. And then three, there also is the element of the system and the platform. Maybe you're not targeting your ads right. Maybe you're bidding too high. There's a lot of different techniques. Maybe your ad creative isn't very good or isn't very engaging. So all of those elements together are things that you need to go back and really take a realistic approach towards, how do I be able to make these better? Another thing that I would say is, Facebook users have no intent. They're not going there to search for your product or service. They're going there to interact with their friends, their family, and watch, videos about things that are relevant to their interest. So as you are interrupting their day, you've got to be able to focus on building relationships with them, doing the introduction, being able to talk about here's how we can make your life better. Here's what makes our product or service different, and it's actually very difficult. I think in terms of general advertising, people are used to what they've seen in advertising, which is, I'm gonna push a billboard or a message on you so many times that you'll just somehow get it into your brain. And Facebook kind of flips that upside down, where you're penalized if you're not relevant. If people are skimming your ad, Facebook says, all right, we'll let you keep your ads here, but we're gonna charge you a lot more for it, because basically you suck at advertising. And that's where now these new types of ads are coming out that are engaging, that are interactive, that are funny, that are trying to have communication with people, or an interaction or an engagement with the people that they're doing. It's a one-on-one. You had you had the ability to stop me during my day to show me your product or service. Make it worth my time. And then finally, the last thing that I would say you definitely need to focus on is targeting and ad creative. I can't go back to enough on how important ad creative is to Facebook, advertising. When you have great creative that captivates people, the results are phenomenal. Usually in terms of cost per click, CPMs, your conversion rates. Those are elements to where really people will, stop and pay attention and be like, hey, this is something that's really cool. So those are kind of my tips on that one. That's a great question, and it's a question that a lot of people have. So anyway, let me take a look, see if there are any other questions that came through today. I don't think so. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining. If you have more questions, leave them below, and we will see you guys next week. Perfect. Have a great day. Later.